Good morning, welcome back to Coffee Break. Welcome back to the show, Mike.
Thanks. So I was thinking that this is my fourth time on Coffee Break.
Fourth? Really? We let you on that often?
I know, it's kind of
That
surprising.
doesn't seem right.
Which puts me, I think, at about a +3 margin ahead of any other guest star. So I think that's going to be a lasting legacy that I'll be leaving Erdman's with in the record book.
Yeah, speaking of, you're leaving Erdman's.
Yeah, wait for the spoiler.
Sorry.
So,
Right.
I mean, it's bittersweet. It's mostly bitter for us and sweet for you, I guess.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, I'm really excited. I got a job teaching English at a high school in the area.
That's awesome.
And
I guess that's okay.
Okay, well, yeah, I did. I brought in a few YA books that I'm definitely going to be having on my bookshelves.
Awesome.
I'm starting to think about how I'm going to set up my classroom. I just got to see it yesterday, so that's when kind of reality really set in, and I'm really excited.
All right,
Cool.
so tell us, what are like the must-have YA books for any
Classroom library.
Well, all right.
any
So-
teacher shelf?
I want to start off right off the bat with,
Yep.
something that's not going to raise a lot of controversy because I think pretty much everyone loves The Book Thief. I have yet to meet someone who really doesn't like. Oh. Well.
Okay, I feel terrible for admitting this. I have tried to read that book 5 times and I cannot get past like the first 10 pages.
So actually,
Oh, no.
I can definitely speak to that because I went
Good.
in with a huge barrier up against this book because there's so many World War II books. There's so many kind of these emotionally driven narratives. But this one, I'd say by about 100, 200 pages in, it really pulls you in. I know that sounds like a big commitment, but it is 500 plus pages. So
so I should
And
just
also,
stick it out for
see,
200 pages.
Here's the other thing. He's going to be the teacher. His students will have to read
Right.
it. He signs it.
because the context I read it in was a book club, so I couldn't just stop.
Right, right.
Which I'm grateful for because it really does pull you in emotionally, and obviously teaches you a lot about what was going on in some of the lesser covered parts of World War II. So it's one I'm really excited about. The House on Mango Street.
Nice.
It's there's a lot of things to say about this book. But one of the best things is that it's one of these really compact books, which I'm not saying I just love short books, but this
Makes
this
it
does a
less
lot.
intimidating.
Exactly, it makes it less intimidating. It covers a lot of things in just a small space. And one of the things I was thinking about this book is that it's almost in its form, it's almost poetic. And I think one of the biggest challenges of teaching in high school English or any English is that you really got to get kids interested in poetry somehow, because a lot of them have this preconception of poetry as
Like
writing
really highfalutin.
exactly
Yeah.
like sonnets about a flower or something like that. And a lot of them rightfully are like, well, why should I care about that? Well, you have something like House on Mango Street, which even though it looks like it's prose, but what it's doing, it's conveying specific emotions or specific scenes in a very detailed manner,
Okay.
which is a lot of times what really good poetry does. So I'm definitely going to be using this when I get to that point of my teaching.
Great.
Along kind of similar lines with doing something cool with poetry is one of our very own books, Crazy,
Yay.
where it is written in a poetically recognizable format, but it's very narrative in its structure, right? So it tells a story just like a novel from beginning to end. Not to mention it addresses a really great issue of a really important issue of mental health, mental illnesses, which is a reality that a lot of kids are going through in their lives. So, and plus I had to have an Erdman's book on my shelf
Of course.
going into my next job. Okay, so important question: how many times have you wished that a serious and quality book could have talking animals in it? more
Every
often,
single
right?
day of my
Like,
life.
Yes.
Definitely. There's not too many books like that because oftentimes you think that if you have a book with talking animals in it, it's probably a book for kids, right? That's where a book like Watership Down comes in. A seriously well-written book. It could be told as an allegory. It could be told as just good, solid literature. But of course, it features a cast of talking rabbits, which
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I haven't read Watership Down.
I was gonna say, I think Watership Down is like that essential classic book that no one has read.
And it's also, one more thing to say about this is that it runs really parallel to books like the Odyssey or the Aeneid, which a lot of times, more books that a lot of students aren't gonna initially be drawn into, right?
Right.
Because it's like, oh, what does this have to do with me?
It's so
Well,
old.
yeah, exactly, right. But this one's like, all right, this is like the Aeneid with talking rabbits, so of course you're gonna love this.
Awesome.
Right. All right, and final book, The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian.
Love this book.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's hard to call it a classic yet because it's only been less than a decade, but I'm sure it will quickly be finding its way into that conversation.
I mean, it's consistently on the most frequently banned books list,
Yeah,
like every single
right.
year. So I think that kind of gives it that
Sure.
instant classic
Yeah,
status.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
anything that's really highly controversial is going to be something that people remember.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times, if you're telling an authentic story about adolescence, it is going to find its way into that category of possibly being banned in some settings. What I love so much about this is that it's not just the story about having a Native American racial identity, even though that is a big component of it. It really is just a story that if you've gone through adolescence, you're probably going to be able to relate to a big chunk of this in some way. And the Native American racial identity is a big component of that, obviously, but it's not the whole picture.
Which means that even if you're not Native American, you can relate
Exactly.
to and see how
Right.
to bridge the gap to
Right.
other. Yeah.
Exactly, and a lot of things are going to pull you into this book, such as there's these crazy
Nice.
illustrations, these pencil drawing illustrations. So that's these are some books that I'll definitely at least be having on my shelf, if not actively incorporating into my instruction somehow. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
So what are you going to miss most about working in publishing and working for Erdmann's?
Besides coffee break,
Besides us,
I
yeah.
thought you were gonna say besides the free books.
Besides our delightful personalities and the free books.
I think it's just always, it's fun to be in a place where conversations like this are going on. Like, it's one thing to have this conversation on film, you know, but it's not like we're just doing this just because that's there. You know, we have these conversations and these discussions just of our own volition when we're passing by each other in the hallways or whatever you call these things.
Those are hallways.
Yeah.
Yes.
Spaces between offices.
Yeah, right. And I am gonna miss that because that forms kind of a really interesting sense of community.
Aw,
We're not going to miss you at
that
all.
was really sweet.
Thanks, Catherine. Right, okay.
Well, thank you for joining us and
Thanks, yeah.
for sharing a bit of your classroom library.
Thanks,
And
yeah.
we do wish you the best in your future endeavors, even though they won't be
Thanks.
with us.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Make sure no one breaks my record of guest starring 4 times.
Yeah, well, I mean,
We'll see.
we'll see. We might find like this brilliant guest star. Whoever.
Your
we don't-
replacement could look like George Clooney for all we know. My
Yeah.
God.
True. All right.
That's just camera gold right there.
If George Clooney comes and guest stars, then I will let him break my record. How about
Okay.
that? Or if someone
That's-
who looks very similar.
That sounds fair. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Almost.